Wet-Togetherness. Bodies exceed humanity. They remind us that we are part of something vaster and smaller, more complex, more connected than our mere existence as an atomized species. Our bodies, and bodies in general, are composed out of heterogeneity and multitudes. All bodies are wet collective bodies, defined by how they link to other bodies, places, environments, technologies. Think of breathing, clogging, decomposing, discharging, flushing, lubricating, melting, menstruating, transfusing. Bodies exist as trans and extra-territorial beings. They live in hybridity. This porous condition produces a planetary wet-togetherness, a commoning force that constitutes all bodies as collective hydro subjects. Wet-togetherness is a collaboration between e-flux and the 13th Shanghai Biennale, Bodies of Water, 水体. It is a series of 9 sound pieces in which a selection of Biennale contributors enact aqueousness through sound. Episode 6. Transfusing. Bodies are permeable. They exist in continuous fluid exchange with other bodies. Yet fluids circulate differently than the bodies to which they once belonged. They pass from one body to another body, merging stories, fates, futures. They infuse health, life, or their opposite. Fluids replace components. They add something that is lacking or is desired. Fluids are given, passed on to, injected, poured, infiltrated in a sometimes unavowed hydrocommons. The following conversation is joined by Iván L. Munuera, P staff, and Himali Singh.
My name is P staff. I'm an artist and I'm part of Bodies of Water, the 13th Shanghai Biennale. I'm thinking about transfusing, and I'm going to talk my way through this sound, through this idea, through transfusing, transfusion, blood that's extracted and pumped back again through another circulatory system. A circulatory system like my own nervous system, blood, veins, the atmosphere, the economy, ecology, astrology, the weather, maybe language. It's a transfusion of any substance, something that at first sounds so simple but surely is always volatile. I wonder what has entered me and what crossings I have made. A line of inquiry to start. Are we transfusing one word, or can it be split? A transfusing. What trans does to language always interests me. Sitting somewhere between the speech act, the account, and the phenomenological experience. I'm gonna phrase, maybe misquote or maybe misremember my friend, the writer Ava Hayward. She asks what transness, trans-hyphen, does to language. So is trans-fusing an adjectival intervention? Trans does fusing. Is fusing transed in this linguistic setup? Both terms remain operative and distinct. They don't require the other to have meaning, and yet they produce a meaning through a relationship that confirms their values. Transfusing, transfusion. A prefixio. Trans-hyphen as hyphenated, and as such attaches and reforms the meaning of fusion. The noun itself, leaving neither word intact but fused into something other. To quote Ava further, the implication might seem pedantic. Transfusion, trans-hyphen fusion, trans-star fusion, trans-space fusion. But in the space of trans-politics, a hyphen or a suffix, the leaves and shoots of a word, as Eva says, carry incredible power. Alliances and attacks have happened in the ending of a word with ed or ing, or the inclusion of an asterisk. Transed, transing, transstar, transasterisk. Politically precarious, perhaps, but it also illustrates that trans might be more about the act of relation, a space of transit, not fully bound or to be translated, more so than the overdetermined attachments like sex and gender. After all, what is the act of relation in the language of identity? So Eva says, within the figuration and language of transness, a politics of existence is proposed, however tenuously. Bloodheads is the name of the work that I made for the biennial. It's a collaboration with the designer Bastitgen. It's very much a form of transfusion, I think. We asked the power station of art to remove and detail a number of its mundane parts. Door handles, light sockets, plugs, fixtures, fittings. And so with BAS, we recast them and molded new objects made entirely from waste animal blood. So we recast and recreated these mundane parts of the building. These exact replicas were shipped back to the power station of art from us in Europe. And over the course of the exhibition, they're gradually filling a room, scattered across the floor like errant replicant cells, reproducing parts, new types of blood transfused into the body of the museum and of the biennial. Something unique to China was the large-scale transmission of HIV through blood donation centres in the early to mid-1990s. The ban on blood product imports from the preceding decade restricted China's blood supply, making blood donation more lucrative, particularly for poorly funded rural healthcare systems already weakened by privatization. Demands for blood in the developing cities was high in a range of industries. By 1990, thousands of public and commercial blood and blood plasma collection centres had been established across China, attracting donors with payments that could equal over a month's worth of income for some farmers. A significant grey market of poorly regulated bloodheads concurrently arose. The practices, often unsanitary in this blood market, led to massive propagation of the HIV virus in rural populations. Donation centres frequently recycled needles, mixed blood donations without screenings, and failed to adequately sterilise equipment, spreading blood-borne diseases to both donors and recipients. For plasma donations, blood was often mixed with other donors' samples and re-injected after plasma extraction. After an animal is slaughtered, the blood flows down the drains of the killing floor and is collected in giant tanks, if only for a while before it's either disposed of or sold. The companies that buy the blood make a variety of products. Food industry uses about 30% of this blood. It's used in food as an emulsifier, an agent that mixes different liquids, a stabilizer to prevent oil and water from separating in the finished food product, a clarifier, a color additive, and often as nutrition. Agricultural businesses will turn a lot of it into blood meal, a kind of animal fodder that also doubles as an ingredient for plant fertilizer. Animal blood is also an integral component of a lot of medical products. Cow's blood contains bovine thrombin that can help with wound treatments. It can also attach to skin grafts and act as a coagulant, glomming on, sticking together. The world is soaked in blood every day. Human capital is extracted, redistributed, transfused. These cycles can seem dizzying, unspeakable, with a wider reach than we can possibly ever imagine or contain. The non-human is made every day. And the thing that we call human, person, citizen, is reconstituted and recalibrated constantly. We've long since mutated and rendered the animal body the non-sovereign, the undead, the doomed. The interdependent and entangled does not necessarily act with equity. Not every world is made equally, nor does the end of the world come for each of us the same.
I am Iván López Munuera, a curator, critic, historian, and theorist based in New York City. I work at the intersection of culture, technology, politics, and bodily practices in the modern period and on the global stage. I have a special focus on cultural artifacts as laboratories of political experimentation, and on how artistic and architectural practices form political landscapes. The main focus of my research argues that health has always been as much a matter of human rights as of medicine. Studies of epidemics tend to focus on the metaphor of the healthy body as being attacked by an external agent. But the interconnection of bodies, other bodies, viruses, bacteria, microbes, architectures, technologies, and environments are intrinsically founded in their contagiousness. Ultimately, heterogeneous corporality composes a type of urban form, one that exceeds its understanding as the unfolding of infrastructures, land uses, and buildings. Instead, it becomes a form of collective embodiment that challenges the exceptionality of human flesh as much as its individuality, to understand it as both infiltrating and being infiltrated by viruses, buildings, technologies, regulations, and policies. Transfusion is one of the main agents on this research. Grounded bodies fly in plasma, the liquid regime of bodily fluids. The act of blood transfusion carries a notion of body far from the definition of a discrete and autonomous being. Rather, transfusion states an environmental recomposition that pushes for interdependent, interconnected, and not CPAP embodiments. Transfusions show that our bodies are porous, contagious, permeable to otherness of other human bodies, to the otherness of non-human bodies, to the otherness of technology, to the otherness of politics and narratives. The beginnings of blood transfusions are based on an interspecies contract. Early medical knowledge was based on the belief that diseases arose from an imbalance of invisible fluids in the body, called humors, affected by the environment. It was believed that blood carried the essence of the creatures in which it flowed. The first blood transfusion in the Western world happened in 1667, when Jean-Baptiste Denis, a physician to Louis XIV, started looking at the effects of transfusion blood from animals into human beings, looking for the perfect moment based on astrological beliefs. This first transfusion didn't go well. The patient was in agony after his organs collapsed, unable to process the animal proteins, which caused a violent and painful hemolysis, the physical destruction of incoming red cells. The patient barely survived. The flowing of blood from one body to another showed that the bodies themselves, both humans and non-humans, were not self-contained entities. Rather, they were composed of different agents that interacted with each other, violently intermingling with their own recipients as well as others. Just like in astrology, bodies were connected to distant geographies and entities. 300 years later, in 1963, another medical procedure showed that these bodies and their environments constituted a fluid regime of coexistence and, again, violent interactions. This procedure, known as plasmapheresis, is a process in which plasma, the liquid part of the blood, is separated from the blood cells. Plasma is then replaced with another solution, such as saline or albumin. The plasma is treated and then returned to the human body. During plasmapheresis, blood is removed in small amounts. Inside a machine, blood is separated into platelets, red blood cells, white blood cells, and plasma, filtering and retaining elements of the blood. After this process, the blood is returned to the body or stored in plastic bags. Human bodies contain a constant flowing of fluids, tides that surpass their physical encapsulation through medical processes and plasma commerce. Plasma exchange helps in the treatment of a range of medical conditions, including those of the brain and nervous systems, blood disorders, kidney affections, and hyperviscosity syndromes. The modern plasmapheresis process originated between 1963 and 1968 in the research for cancer treatment. In 1970, the introduction of an all-volunteer blood donor system helped alleviate the plasma shortage, and the plasma market flourished. In 1972, President Nixon declared blood a unique national resource and ordered the Department of Health, Education and Welfare to make an intensive study of better ways to manage it, intensifying the blood commerce, now regulated by the Food and Drug Administration. The Caribbean region was privileged because of its proximity and the large numbers of donors available. The beginnings of offshoring and money liquidity were intimately connected to the fluidity of plasma commerce. One of the main centers obtaining and marketing plasma was Hemo-Caribbean. From May 1971 to November 1972, Hemo-Caribbean operated in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, while being managed in Miami. This transnational and multifaceted company was founded by Joseph Gorenstein, a Florida businessman, and Lackner Cambron, a Haitian politician under François Papa Doc Duvalier and his son Jean-Claude Baby Doc Duvalier's governments. In January 1972, Hemo-Caribbean was exporting up to 6,000 liters of plasma to the United States each month. The company could accommodate 350 donors per day at its two-story center on Rue de Rempart and was building a second facility to increase capacity to 850 donors per day. The process was described as plasma farming. Donors were paid $3 to $5 and a Coca-Cola. They donated plasma at least once a week. The facilities at Rue de Rempart, located in Portel Saint-Joseph in the La Saline neighborhood, famous for its hospitals near the maritime port, were less than a 45-minute drive to François Duvalier International Airport via Port-au-Prince main highway, the RN1. Rue de Rempart was one of the only routes of transportation for semi-rural, regional, and urban markets at the center of the old colonial settlement. It was also a route used by rural migrants. At the roadside of Rue de Rempart, a parking area was habilitated, making terminals that were, in fact, streets just used for truck parking. This was a commercial transit course that was highlighted constantly in the maps commissioned by Duvalier, making it one of the essential routes of Port-au-Prince. The frozen plasma was exported on Air Haiti, Cambron's air company, which had the monopoly on transportation to Miami, where it was sold to American enterprises as well to clients in Germany and Sweden. During the 1970s, it was discovered that Hemo-Caribbean never practiced safety measures among its donors, scanned for diseases, or collected data about the plasma itself or the sale of it. In addition, the international organizations responsible for the control of plasma commerce, like the Centers for Disease and Control, or the World Health Organization, also neglected to monitor the supply. Different diseases spread because of Hemo-Caribbean. These outbreaks were possible because a form of transnational piracy was enacted, one that had its roots in the colonial map. Transnational companies and pharmaceutical firms made their business without regulations or oversight. In the 1980s, the conception of Haiti as a focus of disease proliferated, mixing prejudice, discrimination, and stigmatization. One of the main architectural elements in this context was the plastic bag that contained the plasma. Introduced in 1950, plastic bags and the technology used to freeze the blood collected were an architectural device that allowed blood to move freely among different geographies. Glass bottles were inefficient because of the contact between air and blood as the bottles were filled. Meanwhile, the plastic blood bag, accompanied by needles and plastic tubes, produced an entirely sealed and sterilized system, creating an independent and autonomous state. At the same time, the physical attributes of the container were able to store flat and were airless, flexible, and immune to extreme temperatures, and tough enough to survive different pressure changes in an airplane. The blood bag was more than a simple container. It was the heart of a flexible blood processing system that made all subsequent advances in blood processing possible. Doctors could connect several bags into an airtight arrangement of bags and plastic tubes, separate the components of blood, and easily squeeze them from one chamber to the next, all with no exposure to the air. If Haitian plasma flew freely during this time, the human hosts, the Haitian bodies, did not benefit from the same regime of circulation. By the early 1980s, Haitians themselves had become Haiti's most significant export. The 3 decades of Duvalier rule were a time of mass exodus. Although a precise count is difficult to come by, it is estimated that up to 1 million Haitians, about 15% of the country's population, fled during the 30 years of the Duvalier's regime. This diaspora was later dubbed the 10th Department, an international supplement to the 9 official districts within Haiti itself. Through Hemo-Caribbean, a transnational biopolitical economy was instated, wherein medical technologies articulated a definition of bodies and nations through different architectures, laboratories, medical facilities, airlines, and ultimately blood, plasma, and bodies. Haitians were reduced to plasma, reassuring the urban constitution of a microbiological operation, where the exchange of plasma could flow freely among different countries. However, the human hosts were banned from this kind of mobility. This was a fluid socio-political urbanism in which legislations and the constitution of borders were embodied in its own citizens. The urbanism that was described through Hemo-Caribbean stated a movement of interscalarity in which the relationships between the local situations and histories of Haitians were intermingled within the context of a wider world view, a contradictory space characterized by contestation, internal differentiation, and continuous border crossings.
Zero multiplied by infinity is the realization of emptiness. The drummer reaches into the ether, calling La back. La has visited 400 sacred sites and returned. It has traveled far. it enters us. The spirits of the earth emerge from the vessel, enacting time. We rise, hybrid beings, primordial, bewitched. Our thighs are melting crags with rivers flowing out of them. Our bellies are temple after temple consecrated with petals like tongues. Our breasts are mountains in the clouds. Our heart is a lake, our blood brine. Our armpits are wells into which you laid your ropes. Our tongues are smoke and our eyes are the concentric circles of your wilding, finding. A body is a field on which meteorites fall, iron wedges of fate. Like a mirror marking distance. The distance is always love. This is the commons of otherness. Time passes. Another catastrophe. A crater in our consciousness. And we begin making up the world again. We art. A crack, a fissure, a wound. A rock oozes, the head aches, the heart closes. We ring in the drummer, copper vessels riding and splashing and crashing. First, the ritual of grounding. We must learn to love a rock resembling God, a rock resembling a protective spirit. The rock has 100 entrances, each with a different story, entwined like passages leading to each other. And other rocks that look like seated forms of goddesses. The topography of the site being, representations of the subtle energy body. Rock meaning stillness and movement at once. Two arms swinging on an undulating horizon with no place to stay. We chant, I love you. The rock repeats the phrase, tintinnabulating in ecstatic, possessed, or oracular language. Our bodies are a multitude of lines, stretching, trembling, yawning, and sweating. Lines with eyes closed, plates with shoulders shimmying, igneous feet shuffling, tectonic torso turning, loam of flesh and fault into the collective corpus. Transmission of love by contact at a distance. What's ours is yours. Thou are us. Now we be body. The air is heavy, dense with particles of poison. We must still our disturbed winds. We breathe so deep that we mentally produce music. Next, the ritual of circulation. Where does wind begin? From a slit, a nib, a ray, a gash, a measure, a beam, a line, a hole, a horn, a quill, a string, a skin, a wing. From a black square wet with worship. Negative space carved into the sides of cliffs. Intuition in the darkness. Slipping through loopholes, obstructions and obstacles, odors, itches, scratches, swellings. So we open the windows to the outer worlds. We blow our horns and our mouths spill with the sound of the word. Love. We draw channels across our meridians. Vitruvius Vesuvians. Tracing a different order. A cosmology of relations between what is solid and spirit. Clearing the throat with a command. Opening the lungs with a whistle. Harmonizing the binaural brain. Our fingers hold the atmosphere like tuning forks touching pitch. We feel love blow into us, blow us away, and we inspire it. Light comes in varying degrees of opacities. Light fades by glowing brighter. No darkness truly dark, only impressions, impacts, lost remains. The ritual of regeneration. We look for clues. Messages voluted in minerals, engraved by our ancestors, interstellar dust mixed with seabed sediment, photons bolting toward us from the past, diffused, obscured, deflected, gathering what we don't need and needing it. Like wet, sticky dough, some parts don't let go. The fossil has slept through ruin before. It asks us to rouse our shadows, where love flickers and flashes like a lantern at dusk. Darkness sweeping over us till we fall asleep in the mantle of the mountain. Steadying our circadian cycles, we open our eyes and blink. Solar. Awake. An awakening. Love smeared red onto our hearts, like turmeric and lime on the gates of a shrine. In the heart of the fountain, we invoke rock, wind, light, to bring us from this crisis of lost presence. It is time to begin the rituals to retrieve our lost La. La, a cosmic force that moves through our bodies, moves through the world like breath, but brighter, electric. It's spelled blah as if it was something less than vital, but it's pronounced la, like music circulating through our bones. La is strongest when it is bathed in love. Love, that which pulls every particle of time into a single point and quakes, like heat in the limbs. We scan plant to pulse, like detectives of arterial errors. "100 beats, then a glitch, a snatch, a spasm, a stutter, a stop. The absence of La is indicated by broken flowers, as if the earth were having wild, thrashing dreams. There has been a catastrophe. La slinks out of us like a snake from its skin. We wilt. We are lava and the spring has emptied. We feel a crushing pain in the base of the mind.
Wet-Togetherness is a collaboration between e-flux and the 13th Shanghai Biennale, Bodies of Water, 水体, curated by Andrés Jaque, Marina Otero Verzier, Lucia Pietroiusti, Filipa Ramos, and Yomi, and organized and promoted by the Power Station of Art. This podcast has been edited by José Luis Espejo and Ruben Cole, with the sound design of Tomoko Sauvage, coordination of Roberto González García, and locutions by Yang Yang.